What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another video. So today I wanted to start doing some more Transformers commercial reaction videos, and this time instead of doing G1, we're jumping to G2. Now, G2 did not last anywhere near as long as G1 did. G1, of course, was the one that has been the popular one. People know it better than any other version of Transformers most of the time. If you look back, it's typically the most remarked and thought of version of Transformers. G2 didn't. G2 on the other hand tried something a little different, something that they've tried several times over since G1. But they came back to this idea later, and they've also jumped around with it, and that's the idea of including some form of like CGI animation rather than having your standard animation. Now, the animation definitely had an interesting look. Was it good? It was okay. I wouldn't say it was the best thing in the world, but it was okay. Was it better than the series that would come after it? Yeah. It was different. I would say probably yes, even though they're completely different. I would probably say yeah, that the other season was probably better. I think that as a whole, though, this was G2 was an interesting idea that really could have gone over a lot better, and people would have enjoyed it a lot better, but it just didn't work out the way people hoped it would have worked out. So anyway, let's get started with these reactions to these commercials, because I'm looking forward to seeing what we got for G2, and eventually we'll move on to our other stuff sooner or later. I don't think we'll be doing too many G2 commercials, just so people are aware. I'm not going to be doing too many, not as many as G1, just because G1 was so big. G2, though not small, not necessarily the biggest season, not one that like I particularly say that is like is amazing. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. So but anyway, let's get started. So here we go.
Driving to save the world from the evil Decepticons, Optimus Prime is the ultimate Autobot hero. More than meets the eye, he's a robot in disguise. Going ballistic to destroy the Autobots and conquer mankind, Ramjet is an evil Decepticon. He's more than meets the eye. Heroic Autobots versus evil Decepticons, with the fate of planet Earth hanging in the balance. Transformers Generation 2, coming soon from Marvel Comics.
Alright, so that was Transformers. It was a Transformers commercial promoting the actual show for G2. Personally, I would say the animation, obviously, very, very mixed, not really great. Low quality, low resolution. You could tell that was Optimus, and I'm forgetting the other one's name right now. I just had it in my mind, but I'm forgetting it. But you could tell that who they were. At the same time, the animation looked very, very, very like basic, and it looked so underdeveloped compared to what we see today, that it's just kind of, and it's hard to make out to an extent. But at the same time, people probably were very amazed due to the fact that, I mean, hey, not many shows had that kind of animation back during that time. So pretty cool. So interesting commercial regardless. I mean, not the best thing ever, but promoting a season that, you know, was supposed to be a follow-up to G1, I mean, hey, not bad. So anyway, here we go. Let's keep going though.
Transformers! It's the evil Decepticons, powerful jets that transform into dangerous Decepticon robots, Ramjet and Starscream, with missile launchers and light and sound power packs. But first, they'll have to battle the heroic Autobots, Inferno, Jazz, and Sideswipe. They're robots in disguise. Jazz strikes back with a robot-ripping rocket launcher, and Inferno's water cannon is raining pain. Transformers! Transformers Generation 2, Autobot cars and Decepticon jets each sold separately.
Okay, so again, they advertised something that I kind of expected, which is a big thing about the original Transformer stuff early on, is the fact that they typically specified that, like, usually the Autobots were the ones that would be on the ground while the Decepticons would be in the air. In this case, they showed that off very well. The Decepticons they showed off were Starscream and Ramjet. Good looking figures, I would say. I'm actually a little surprised at how well the figures themselves look, because that was more of a figure commercial rather than a show promotion commercial. The other ones that were shown off were like Jazz and Inferno, and I'm forgetting the third one's name, but not as important. The two that were advertised really were Inferno and Jazz. The third one really wasn't talked as much about, but still important. And for the Decepticon side, obviously both of them were advertised. The commercial looked pretty good quality, nothing too distracting, and it's a pretty enjoyable commercial, and there's enough there to grab some people in, so I actually liked it. It's a good commercial, so cool.
It's the evil Decepticons, jets that transform into dangerous robots. But first, they'll have to battle the heroic Autobots. They're robots in disguise. Transformers Generation 2, Autobot cars and Decepticon jets each sold separately.
Okay, so that was basically the same commercial, only there were some changes in what was said, and there was a clever moment with robots in disguise, and then Inferno blasted out water, which was kind of cool, interesting, definitely something I'm curious about. I honestly don't know for a fact if that was something that was added in there specifically, or whether or not they could actually fill Inferno with water. If that's true, that's really cool, because hey, I mean, that's a pretty awesome toy, I have to admit. I mean, if you can fill it with water and it's an actual Transformer, a figure, I mean, that's actually worthwhile. Like, that's something, like, that's actually really good functionality and something enjoyable to have. And they didn't show that in the first commercial that we saw related to that, so thumbs up to them with that commercial. So yeah, let's keep going.
Transformers! It's the evil Constructicons, Decepticon vehicles built to destroy planet Earth. More than meets the eye, they're robots in disguise. And the Constructicons combine to form the dreaded Devastator for really big destruction. But the Constructicons unearth big trouble, the heroic Dinobots, Snarl, Slag, and Grimlock. These massive monsters transform into mighty robots. They'll blast those Decepticons into extinction. Transformers! Robots in disguise. Transformers Generation 2, Dinobots and Constructicons each sold separately.
Okay, so we saw there the Constructicons and the Dinobots. The Dinobots, as we saw there, were Snarl, Slag, and Grimlock, of course. Who wouldn't forget Grimlock? Obviously, they're missing two others, Swoop, and I'm forgetting the fifth one. There's certain things I forget. I know that I keep on saying that just because there's a lot of Transformers history, and it's just harder to keep up with everything sometimes. So yeah, I know Swoop was one of the ones that was missing, and there's one other one that I'm forgetting. Snarl, Slag, Swoop. I know what it is. I'm just forgetting the name. Anyway, cool commercial. Constructicons obviously awesome. You have Devastator there. I mean, that's cool. I guess that means that he was featured in both G1 and G2. It's interesting, though, how that is, because after G2, you really don't see Devastator anymore, which is just kind of sad, because Devastator was such a cool character, and, like, the Constructicons in general, like, I remember them so well, and I like the Constructicons a lot, because they're interesting, and just in general, they really felt very threatening in the show, so pretty cool. And I like actually the CGI on them, the animation that they showed off, looked pretty decent. I was actually a little surprised at how well they did Devastator. Obviously, early Devastator figures were not typically as big as they tended to advertise them, but they were definitely on the bigger side. And I mean, it makes sense since they were able to combine together each of the Constructicons to create like a big figure. But, not too big, so it's still pretty decent size. So anyway, thumbs up.